President-elect Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States on January 20, 2025. He plans to pursue his campaign promise to make America great again. Recently, he reacted to the attempts of the BRICS countries to undermine the dollar as the major reserve currency in the world, from which the US derives enormous benefits. He said he will impose 100% tariffs on BRICS countries. He has also proposed increased tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. I offer additional suggestions to manage the US economy that will really make America great again. There is also a controversy brewing among those being chosen to fill positions in the administration concerning H-1B visas and immigration. I also comment on prophecy concerning Trump restoring America's greatness as the modern-day Jeroboam II. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. Gerald R. Flurry, head of the Philadelphia Church of God, in his book America Under Attack, has been interpreting prophecies in the book of Amos the prophet and 2 Kings chapter 14 to indicate that Trump would be re-elected president because the prophecies concerning King Jeroboam II of ancient Israel have a dual fulfillment. Trump is now the president-elect and will be inaugurated as president on January 20, 2025. King Jeroboam II of ancient Israel ruled for 41 years from 791 to 750 BC. The account of his rule is given in 2 Kings chapter 14 verses 23 to 29. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria, and reigned 41 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was Jeroboam I, who made Israel to sin. Sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, were to set up 2 idols in Israel, and told Israel that those were the gods that brought them out of Egypt. Then appoint the lowest of the people as priests of those gods, change the worship day from Sabbath to Sunday, and the annual time of Feast of Tabernacles from the 7th to the 8th month. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, which is the Dead Sea, according to the word of the Lord of Israel, which he spoke by the hand of his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai the prophet, which was of Gath Hepher. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel, that it was very bitter, for there was not any shut up, nor any left, nor any helper for Israel. And the Lord said, not that he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, but he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam the son of Joash. In verse 28, now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam and all that he did, and his might, how he warred, and how he recovered Damascus and Hamath, which belonged to Judah for Israel, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son reigned in his stead. The kingdom of Israel was in a deteriorating economic condition before Jeroboam II became king. Nations around Israel had boxed it in, not allowing any to pass through, stopping its trade. Some of its territory had been taken by the Syrians. They were also determined to utterly destroy the nation. Jeroboam II restored Israel's fortunes somewhat. He conquered back Israel's territory from Syria, and trade began to flow, improving the economic condition. Then verse 29 states, and Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son reigned in his stead. So Jeroboam II died a natural death. But the prophet Amos prophesied in Amos 7 verses 10 to 11. Then Amaziah the son of Bethel sent to Jeroboam king of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words. For thus Amos says, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall surely be led away captive out of their own land. Israel in these prophecies means the United States, British Commonwealth nations, and Judah is the Jewish state of Israel. Together I call them UBI nations. Ancient Israel was led away captive by the Assyrians, but ancient King Jeroboam II did not die by the sword as Amos 7:11 prophesies. He died a natural death and was buried as stated in 2 Kings chapter 14 verse 29. That's why Gerald Flurry correctly interpreted these prophecies to say that there will be a dual fulfillment of these prophecies, and that in the end time a ruler like Jeroboam II will rise in the United States who will restore America's fortunes somewhat. Then he will die by the sword, as the prophecy in Amos 7:11 states, which means he will die a violent death. I am merely repeating Gerald Flurry's interpretation. The death could occur while in office or out of office. I would like to emphasize that the end time fulfillment does not necessarily have to match the original fulfillment precisely in every detail. For example, the prophecy concerning Elijah the prophet was fulfilled 3 times, once by the original Elijah, then by John the Baptist before the first coming of Jesus Christ, and then by Herbert W. Armstrong in our end times. The only commonality among these fulfillments was that they restored the right worship of the true God. The original Elijah ran 3 colleges to train prophets. Herbert W. Armstrong did the same to train men for the ministry. But John the Baptist did no such thing. The original Elijah taught God's way in his colleges. John the Baptist restored no true doctrines to the nation, but Herbert W. Armstrong restored the true doctrines or fundamental beliefs to God's church in the end time. That was different from the roles fulfilled by the first 2 Elijahs. This shows that the end time fulfillment does not have to match in every detail the ancient fulfillment of the dual prophecy. President Trump will be inaugurated on January 20, 2025. The question is, what role will he play in fulfilling the dual prophecies fulfilled by the ancient Jeroboam II? Jeroboam II did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, Jeroboam I. President Trump will most likely fulfill that prophecy, as I don't see him leading the nation to worship God on the Sabbath instead of Sunday, or keeping God's 7 annual holy days rather than the pagan Christmas, Easter, and other holidays. Jeroboam II recovered territory that Israel had lost to the Syrians. He also recovered Damascus and Hamath to Judah. While no nation occupies American territory, however, President Trump sounding off about recovering control of the Panama Canal, which he claims is controlled by the Chinese, may point to his fulfilling the role of Jeroboam II in this regard. He has also nominated former Governor of Arkansas Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel. Huckabee opposes Palestinian statehood and has stated in the past that there is no such thing as a Palestinian. In 2017, at an event in the West Bank, he stated, "There is no such thing as a West Bank, it's Judea and Samaria. There is no such thing as a settlement. They are communities. They are neighborhoods. They are cities. There is no such thing as an occupation." Could President Trump lead Israel to annex the West Bank to Israel as part of its territory, just as Jeroboam II restored Damascus and Hamath for Judah? We'll have to wait and see. Jeroboam II helped ancient Israel's economic recovery somewhat by increasing its trade. That's what Trump plans to do when he talks about making America great again, using tariffs to increase manufacturing and bring high-paying jobs to American soil. I hope President Trump is able to fulfill this part of his agenda, and I will support him fully because I have expertise in this area. I will discuss Trump's proposed economic initiatives in detail in Part 2 video, but I would like to briefly discuss his threats of 100% tariffs on BRICS nations and contributions I have made in the area of economic development and international trade. Recently, President-elect made the following statement on his Truth Social platform, threatening to impose 100% tariffs on BRICS countries if they try to create a new BRICS currency to undermine the US dollar. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. The statement has been analyzed by economics pundits, and most have concluded that as far as the new BRICS currency is concerned, it is merely a threat. India's Minister of External Affairs Subramaniam Shankar soon stated that there is no proposal for the creation of a new BRICS currency and that India has no interest in de-dollarization and weakening the dollar. Therefore, there will be no need to use the 100% tariffs unless BRICS nations again begin steps to undermine the dollar. Most economists agree that it is extremely likely that a new BRICS currency can be created. The reasons are that the economies of the BRICS nations are not integrated and there are trade imbalances. An example is the Indian rupees Russia holds because of oil exports, whereas it cannot buy much from India. No nation will accept Indian rupees from Russia as payment for what it wants to buy from other nations. I explained more than 2 decades ago how our nation's currency becomes the reserve currency. The nation has to have a large economy and be a net importer from many nations so that it can put its money in the hands of other nations. The nation must also be trustworthy and not manipulate its currency so that other nations can have confidence in the currency. China does not inspire such confidence. China is also a net exporter to almost every country. Therefore, it cannot put its yuan in the hands of countries with which they can pay for imports from China or pay loans from China. In addition, nations holding large reserves of the currency should be able to invest it. For example, people around the world can buy real estate and other business assets in the United States as well as government debt. China will not allow that. However, recent actions by the US have forced other nations to seek alternative mechanisms for financial settlements. The US weaponized the dollar by imposing sanctions on Iran, North Korea, and Russia. China also feels threatened in many ways because its foreign exchange assets could be frozen, as were Russia's after it invaded Ukraine. If China evades US sanctions, China has also been threatened that Chinese banks could be kicked out of the American SWIFT messaging system used for rapid cross-border payments if it deals with sanctioned Russian entities. China seeks global domination with plans to replace the United States in international trade and financing, which means it seeks to undermine the United States in every sphere, including its currency. Imposing huge tariffs on nations will force them to readjust. They could weaponize their exports to the United States. Over the past 5 years, the United States has sanctioned Chinese companies to deny them cutting-edge AI chips and manufacturing equipment to prevent Beijing from producing advanced weaponry and AI systems. China retaliated by restricting the export of vital semiconductor minerals like gallium, germanium, and graphite and antimony critical for defense needs. Nations can also impose duties on their exports. However, there are potential bigger problems we could face in the future. We import almost every manufactured consumer product. At present, nations can import some high technology products from us as well as some agricultural products. China and India are catching up fast in technology and will soon start competing with us in these markets. As a result, our high tech employment with high wages will decrease. Then the potential is that since nations will not need to import any products from us, they could collude and charge us high prices for manufactured consumer products. American consumers will suffer. To further undermine the United States, they will continue working towards alternative payment mechanisms. There are two critical issues involved here. Our policymakers must first acknowledge that China and India are competitors, as is Germany, who will not pass by any opportunity to undermine us with the ultimate goal of destroying us and taking over our lands. I reiterate, do not lose sight of this reality in our decision making. By running huge trade deficits with them, we are enriching them, which wealth they have been using to compete against us and undermine us. We need to stop enriching them and develop alternative sources of supply in almost everything we import from them, particularly manufactured goods, and in India's case, information technology services as well. As a medium term goal, we should almost completely stop importing manufactured goods from China. The alternative sources of supply we develop must be our committed allies, committed also in trade by sourcing their high tech needs from us and our allies such as Japan and South Korea, and not our enemies. That will prevent any nation from using manufactured consumer products as a weapon against us, even if the world polarizes into two or more blocks to some degree. In fact, this move will prevent the world from polarizing into multiple blocks with all dedicating to undermining us. In this scenario, tariffs can be judiciously employed to favor products from our allies and stop or minimize entry of products from nations that for all intents and purposes are our dedicated enemies. I explained all this in my model of economic development and international trade, developed in the 1980s and written about in a paper in 1996. Access to a country's market is a very valuable asset that offers incredible negotiating leverage. Foolishly, the US has seldom used that leverage by managing its international trade. In my 1995 paper, I advised using a negotiating leverage by managing international trade rather than allowing free and unfettered access to a market, which is what all the leading economists, including Nobel Prize winning economists, advocated till the mid 1990s. My model of economic development and international trade changed their thinking. I had to fight a 14-year-long battle single handedly to change their thinking. I succeeded with my paper in 1996. I'm glad that President elect Trump is indicating with his tariffs idea that he plans to use the suggestions I offered. I will offer concrete suggestions concerning management of our international trade, diversifying sources of supply, judicious use of tariffs, use of H-1B visas, and other issues related to having a booming economy in Part 2 video. Now, I have some concerns about the incoming Trump presidency. My first concern is that I'm going to become a target of the Department of Justice and the new U.S. Attorney General and the FBI to be deluged with lawsuits to shut me up for exposing murderers because they continue to profit from their murders by controlling more of the economy, and murders of innocent whites of non-German ancestry still continue. The second purpose in filing massive number of lawsuits against me is to win huge damage awards for defamation so that the hundreds of billions of dollars impounded from Germany kept on my behalf as compensation for lifelong discrimination by our side, that's whites of non-German ancestry, can be taken back and returned to Germany. The third purpose in filing lawsuits against me is to sling mud on me in any way they can. These will be illegal lawsuits. I believe the administration wants to put me in jail illegally using various causes which would make it easy for them to end my life, as their current attempts to do so a few times a week have not been successful so far. The administration may also try to illegally deport me to India and hand me over to the Modi government, which would be waiting to put me in jail and have me murdered there. The area I live in falls under the jurisdiction of the Office of Hillsborough County Sheriff, who has been compromised. I believe the next strategy is to make the deputy sheriff in charge temporarily and have him make the decisions. That will also be true of the incoming administration, where the dirty work will be done by those heading various departments and law enforcement departments, though decision will be made by top people. All I can say is that the real decision makers are not hidden from our side. Under these circumstances, I will not be able to contribute by working with the administration to make America great again. I will also vigorously defend myself, and in the process, those bringing lawsuits against me will be hurt badly. I've already contacted a law firm to represent me and prepare in advance to deal with any lawsuits. I will also be praying to God Almighty to defend me. My second concern is the war in Ukraine. Though Trump has indicated that he will swiftly end the war between Russia and Ukraine and between Israel and Iranian proxies as soon as he can, his latest pronouncement indicate that he feels it may not be that easy. Continue to support Ukraine with more weapons and allowing it to use them deeper inside Russian territory will be the surest indication that the administration would be trying to provoke a war between Russia and the United States, which could turn deadly with the use of tactical nuclear weapons. That's what Germany and China want. I would hate to think that the US administration would commit such a treasonous act, especially since Germany forced Russia into a war with the Nazi Zelensky, when the Nazi Zelensky agreed to let Germany install nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons in its territory to be used against Russia. I hope these concerns about the incoming administration will prove to be unfounded, but if my suspicions prove to be correct, I am prepared. In part 2 video, I will offer my suggestions on tariffs, America's international trade, H-1B visas, and immigration issues to give UBI nations a booming economy. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, how Bible prophecies playing an important role in world affairs, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also follow me on my YouTube and X channels, Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini.